Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel. Today's video we are going to be talking about how to prep for spring intake. I have a couple of videos out there already talking about the pros and cons of spring intake and just prepping for intake in general. But since we're in the month of January, let's talk about how you guys can prepare for the actual intake process. Those of you who are getting ready to express interest, those of you who've been working on it last semester and you know that intake is coming this semester. This is for graduate chapter as well as undergraduate chapter. So if you're interested in learning more, keep watching this video. So one of the things I would recommend doing while you're getting ready to start your spring intake process would be to start getting your paperwork together. Start getting together your resume, your interest letter, your draft of your interest letter, because it's going to vary depending on the organization that you want to join, your recommendation letters. If you haven't started working on getting potential recommenders, now would be the time to reach out to those people to let them know that you may be starting intake this month or next month. So you just want to remind them that the process is getting started and they could start thinking about what they'd like your recommendation letter to be. One of the common questions I received is what type of things can be placed inside of a recommendation letter, or who can be a recommender. The recommender depends on what the organization's preference is. A lot of times it has to be a current financial member, a member of the chapter itself, or it can be a leader in the community as well as a member of sorority, active, inactive. It depends on the organization itself. For those details, you're definitely going to want to get that from your membership chair prior to requesting a recommendation, but to have a couple of recommenders in place would be helpful, just in case the people that you actually need are already aware that you're going to be starting intake. So reach out to everyone and then narrow it down once you receive more information from your membership chair about who can be a recommender. As far as what can be placed in the recommendation letter itself, it depends on what the organization wants. Oftentimes with a recommender, it's basically what you would request if you were applying for college or if you were applying for a job. Basic recommendations in terms of that. So characteristics of you would be helpful. Some information about your background, community service that you've done in the past would be helpful. Information about you as a person is most helpful. For recommenders who are part of the organization, oftentimes they will also add as far as why they think you would be a great candidate for the organization. Those are types of things that can be placed in your recommendation letter for those of you who need that type of content. That's what you would need for that. Other things you should already be working on is community service. That should have been something that you would work on the semester before. If you're an undergrad, if you're in graduate chapter or pursuing graduate chapter, is something you should get started on now. Oftentimes they will ask you how many hours of community service you've completed, so be working on that if you haven't already. If you need information on community service, check out my video on that on my channel as well. But community service is definitely something that you should be working on if you haven't already started that. That's something that you should be working on right now as well. Other things to be working on is just polishing up your social media, making sure you're cleaning it up, make sure it looks really good. We don't want any inappropriate photos or pictures. Everything should look nice and professional, tasteful. Make sure that all that information is looking good on social media because they will be looking at those things. It's not necessarily a requirement, but it is something that organizations, more specifically chapter members, will be looking at when they're kind of doing some background research on you guys. Make sure that you just have a nice looking social media presence. If you want information on that, check out my video on social media presence. Another way that you guys can prepare would be to, of course, enroll in my intake prep course that has some information related to everything, resume writing for graduates as well as undergrads, information on information on sorority interest letters, whether it's the essay version or not. All that is included, as well as a intake prep course checklist that I also recommend that you guys take a look at if you just want to make sure that you have everything that you need. There are also some tips on there for interviewing. So if you haven't enrolled in my intake prep course, I recommend doing that. If you are interested in just learning the basics of information, you can enroll in the basic course. If you want a mock interview, is a resume review or interest letter review, that's going to be in the deluxe. So make sure that you're reading those two things before you sign up, because there are some differences between the two. The deluxe has everything you need. The basics is just the basics. So if you haven't taken a look at my intake prep course, that's another thing that you guys can look at if you're just looking to prepare for your process. It's good to start a month in advance if you're in undergrad to enroll in the course. If you're in grad chapter, you can do it at any point a month in advance is still good too, but you can do that at any point. So take a look at those things. I hope that you guys find these tips helpful. Give me a thumbs up. If you want to know the pros and cons of intake itself, take a look at my video. I will link it somewhere for you guys to take a look at. But just to provide you some information, that's where you can find that information. You can also check out my website at KelsTells.com. That's where you can find the information on my prep course as well for those of you who are interested. But if you find this video helpful, give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions, you know what to do. You can message me on Instagram, or you can email me directly at KelsTells.all@gmail.com. I hope that you guys found this video helpful. Give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.